I was going to talk to you about why movement in cosmos is impossible, but I decided on something a little more down to earth, like the inner thoughts of the seven Ray Lords. You know, you can only speculate upon the unspeculable for so long before you have the urge to return to the concrete world. And for me, the monadic plane is very concrete. Don't I wish, huh? In the next solar system, really, that's where individualization will take place, they say. And not on the mental plane at all. But will you be here? That's the question. This is my stall talk, you know, why I watch my computer thwarting me. Oh, golly. Because, you know, I guess the solar angels returned from a previous solar system where they were human beings, you know. Meanwhile, what is this little turquoise circle trying to tell me? Don't give this talk. Hey, you know what? Helena, if you'd be so kind as to, Jose, pull out that green folder. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Because I had the prevision, as close as it gets, to print this talk out this morning. And, okay. And now, it'd be so nice if you could see what the Ray Lords are talking about. I decided to continue, you know, it wouldn't be a bad thing to focus on the third ray again. We've been doing it, but I mean, you know, more in the academic sense. I really don't know why this thing keeps on circling, you know. And I hate to waste time. So
can you just restart?
I did restart. And that is okay. Okay. I'm getting closer. Okay. But sometimes, you know how it is when you really need something to happen fast, like enlightenment. You just have to kind of wait, you know, while doing all the right things. This is stream of consciousness while I really concentrate on this thing. Because the enlightenment of a human being like ourselves occurs at the third initiation, you know, what do they call it? Satori, enlightenment, illumination, all that kind of thing. But the enlightenment the Buddha had, that was really different, you know, that was the sixth initiation. And you get the idea there that, you know, he had been since the beginning of the Kali Yuga, or one of the things that were given about the Kali Yuga, he'd been the head of the hierarchy that long. So he's not going to wander around in the woods looking for enlightenment, is he? So I really kind of wanted to say that the Buddha of whom we hear is more the Lord Gautama, a becoming fourth degree initiate, overshadowed by the real Buddha, just like Christ overshadowed Master Jesus. It makes sense, doesn't it? So, hey, all right. The other Ray Lords speak. Okay, so now basically we're just going to kind of concentrate on phrases which are very deep. Now we went over, on the first day, we went through the names of the Ray Lords, right? And any one of them could require a lot of pondering. I've had a lot of helpful people come up to me to describe what is a three-sided triangle. And one of the things that emerged is, you know, it could be like a tetrahedron in three, you know, with the elevated edges being three, and take it into three dimensions. I think there were other things too that were suggested, but since I didn't agree with them, I blanked them out. Well, it's not true. I did kind of, I thought they were helpful, you know. So anyway, the qualities and characteristics, the qualities which characterize this Ray Lord, the third Ray Lord of abstract intelligence, of activity, of creative intelligence, and so forth, might be enumerated in the following phrases. So now we're going to go into the phrases that pertain to the names. And actually, I have a kind of a musical ritual called the Ray Lord's Ritual. And it goes through all of these and with music. And sometimes, sometimes you can almost do them in a row. Like, let's just say there's 6 statements. And if you start with Ray 1, Ray Lord, then Ray 2 talks, Ray 3 talks, Ray 4 talks. But other times it's not so clear. It's not so clear that it's exactly in sequential order. Okay. And I find with the third Ray, at least in my opinion, you can have maybe your own opinion, it's not so clear. So we must bear in mind that the 7th or synthetic characteristic of each of the rays is denoted by the ray name itself. Okay, and is not specifically stated in the other 6 qualities. But at least we get to look at what you might call psychological aspects, how these great beings who are in Shambhala and probably on the logoic plane and probably related in some way to the 7 spirits before the throne. See, the Kumaras, in a way, the Buddhas of activity and the esoteric Kumaras, they're before the throne of Sanat Kumara. So they're the planetary version on our planet and in our particular chain of what the 7 spirits before the throne are. And you get a solar systemic version of that, and you get a solar version of that, and all. It goes on and on and on. But anyway, the name of the Ray Lord is very, very important. So, you know, don't forget your rays, because it gives you, when you use the old commentary, the way of meditating your way into increasing freedom, integration, and liberation. These old commentary things are not just, oh, isn't that nice, he's quite a poet. You know, it's for real use, and nobody can do it for you but yourself. So his 6 brothers, sons of the one Father, and I love the word chanted because it suggests the 7th ray, chanted these injunctions to him on the day, whatever the day is, of his renewed activity on what we call the day of creation. Okay, so there'll always be the main theme of the third ray, but the perspective will be offered by others. And in many, okay, I said this already, so it's not important. Your interpretive ability will be to help you assign which Ray Lord is talking. Now, if you agree with me, fine, and if you don't, fine, but always have a reason for what you say. So different thinkers may come up with different assignments. Okay, first one. Produce the dual form and veil the life. Let form appear and prove itself divine. All is of God. So this is the one of the qualities. The qualities given will always be of the Ray Lord itself, but it will be somewhat from the perspective of the other Ray Lord who is talking. Okay, and by the way, if you work hard enough, you can become a Ray Lord sometime, somewhere. There is something called a Ray Path, and you know, the Christ is going to spend a lot of time probably as a Ray Lord, a ray on the 2nd ray of love wisdom before he goes to Sirius. So that's one of the paths that lie ahead. Okay, so I think this is a deep plunge into the lowest plane engineered by the 1st Ray Lord. You know how it is that the department of the Manu really takes care of solidifying, strengthening, and making grounding and enduring, making grounding and enduring the physical form. So there's something about the 1st ray, not just the 7th, in the Manu's department that goes all the way down, right down, and holds the anchor there so that all the other things can happen. So, that's what I'm basically saying. And when we use the word divine rather than spiritual, in a particularly technical sense, we're talking about the two higher planes, monadic and logoic. That's where the divine hangs out, and the lower next three planes are spiritual. So the word divine here suggests to me one of the higher rays. In this case, it suggests to me the first ray. Divinity, the first aspect of divinity, and it's the anchoring factor, the power to manifest. And if you want, the seventh ray has the same thing, but the third ray has the power to impel the manifestation and to really get it going and to plan for it, but it's not so great in a detail of execution. You know how it is if you want something to look really, really polished and really, really good, so that everything is in place, the ray of right arrangement, you call on the seventh ray, the ray of right arrangement. The third ray will get it down there, but the seventh ray has to finish it off, Okay, here's another ray lord talking to the third ray lord. And of course, it does take a little bit of the abstract mind to think about these things, and even some intuition, and that's our frontier, buddhimanas, right? That's our frontier for people like ourselves. It's certainly not the concrete mind. Conform the shell to that which dwells within. You have to ponder on each one of these, see? Let the world egg appear. Let ages pass. Then let the soul appear. Let life emerge within a destined time. So, it would be a good exercise in your groups to just stop right there and debate what ray lord you think is talking before you go any further. That's a good exercise. The quality, the power to evolve. So I'm just going to offer you one possibility. The will to evolve is definitely a third ray will. Will to create, will to initiate first ray, will to unify second ray, will to evolve, which he says is basically education, is a third ray type of will. So, and conformity definitely relates to the second, as you well know. The idea of really following the pattern exactly, following the archetype exactly, is a seventh ray thing. So I'm going to choose here the seventh ray lord. The seventh ray lord rules the outer rind, or the outer shell, the hardness of that, which is found upon the very outer layers of the constitution of man. Basically, this personality is a shell for the real inner being. The form is preserved. It's a great preserver, and when you want security in a building, you hire seventh ray people, The form is preserved by this ray until life and form interpenetrate. So my hints there are the word conform, the shell, the egg out of which you have to break, because you know how it is, if you're a seventh ray person, how difficult it is to break out of your habit patterns. Unless you're a Uranian type of seventh ray person, then you break everybody else's habit patterns. Okay, but, and maybe we can be both, But for every one of the first three rays, there are three aspects or sub-aspects to the first three rays. So you get 9 altogether. I don't know how many there are for the rest of the rays, but I'm assuming there could be quite a few, because the number 21 is so frequently used to indicate completeness. Put it all together, get 22, the first magical number. Okay, and a destined time and all of that. The Lord of Time is the third ray, but the seventh ray is really the schedule keeper, if you know what I mean. The power to evolve. Okay, now let's go on to another one. Let mind control. Well, with the third ray it will, Let the clear shining of the sun of life reveal the mind of God, and set the shining one upon his way. Then lead him to the central point where all is lost within the light supernal. What do you think? I mean, we all have different points of view on this, But, the two most luminous rays, the most luminous soul types, are the second ray souls. The most luminous ray lord is the fifth ray ray lord. But then he's got another one which kept me away from this, and the whole idea of the center of love and the center of illumination, all that. So I'm choosing the second ray on that, mental illumination. The light encountered on the top of the mountain is light supernal, and at first is related to Venus. It's a much bigger thing than just Venus, but it starts with Venus. The highest monadic ray of which is the second. So Venus, just like Sirius, is a 2-6 monad with a fifth ray soul. This is my estimation of both of those great sources, Sirius and Venus. So sun imagery accords with the second ray Lord. It always does. The second ray, and there is a tremendous luminescence associated with this ray, as with the fifth, are the brightest ray lords. Together they represent the maximum in illumination, and when the central point is involved, let all the light be drawn to the center. You know how that phrase begins, and it's enter thus into the heart of love divine. That's another second ray mantra. So when the central point is involved, so is the second ray from one perspective, and the first sentence in the series of 7 declarations associated with the third initiation and beyond is as follows. Now I get it right. Let all the light be drawn to the center and enter thus into the heart of love divine. I got it right. Okay. So this whole idea of centralization, luminosity, the shining way, the sun, I'm choosing the second ray for this one. Now you might choose differently, but you've got to go through all of them in order to see if it's rightly proportioned, okay? Okay. Okay, number 4. God and his form are one. Reveal this fact, O sovereign Lord of form. Now, who's that sovereign Lord of form? The third ray, okay. God and his form are one. Negate the dual concept, which we've been trying to do with the abstract mind, right? Lend color to the form. The life is one, the harmony complete. Prove thus the two are one. Lots of hints there, right? And including the word of power, two merge with one, and color and harmony and form. So, well, you want to ponder these things because you really want them to sink in so that you learn them by heart and they become part of you. Otherwise, it's just a book, but if you ingest this and really take it in, it begins to be the way you live, at least ideally so. So negate the dual concept. And here we have this division in the fourth ray all the time, but it's always verging towards the center, towards the one. So I choose the fourth ray, the power to produce synthesis on the physical plane. The basic rays of synthesis are 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I'm not calling ray 5 a ray of synthesis yet. I'm not calling ray 6 a ray of synthesis. They all have their synthesis, of course. But ray 4 is much connected with synthesis. And it's the fourth thing down, isn't it? The lower mind, the astral body, the etheric body, the physical plane. It's the fourth down. Synthesis upon the physical plane. So this paragraph can be interpreted as relating to the power of the fourth ray, who is Lord of color, Lord of harmony. This energy also, and by the way, when you come to next year's conference, it's on the fourth ray. Okay, I'm looking forward to seeing you, even though I don't have my glasses on. All right. This energy also, through Buddhi, renders 2 into 1. Lord of color, Lord of harmony. 2 into 1, let 2 merge with 1, is the antichironic word of power for the fourth ray. The fourth ray is also related to the 3 densest subplanes of the etheric, physical, solar plane. Then ray 3 relates to the etheric body. So ray 2 to the astral body, ray 1 to the mental body, but in fact ray 4 is related to this density, and it has a lot to do with overcoming a backward kind of pull with which we are in conflict. Poor St. Paul. Okay, the next one. So that's ray 4, in my opinion. Now you take it how you like. Produce the garment of the Lord. Well, the minute you see garment, watch out, right? Some of you have read the old commentary. You know where garment is involved, the garment of God, right? You know where that's involved. It's all, you know, it's a 5. Set forth the robe of many colors. Then separate, another hint word, that robe from that which hides behind its many folds. Take off the veiling sheaths. Let God be seen. Take Christ from off the cross. Now, if you go back and, is it reading the law of repulse on the 5th ray? All of this stuff is there, you know, this garment of God business. And, hey, I'm going to make it. Okay. Maybe. You know. But I just, you know, this beautiful thing about the garment of God. And let's see if I can find it. And Garment, garment of God. There's a lot of them, a lot of those garments. And that's okay. Garment of God. Go. Aha. The outer garment of the soul. Garment of God. Okay, somewhere. Well, the fifth purpose is therefore closely related to the whole theme of the garment of God, the fifth purpose of Sanat Kumara, and to the emergence into manifestation of his robe of beauty. There you have it. And there's an earlier one too. I can't find it now. It's in the old commentary, and it's the law of repulse. And I'm going to just look up the word garment of God again, because I really like it. You know, it's, is it possible there's only 2? Okay, there it is. So, page 368 or so, I see the garment of God, I see naught else, I stand amazed, all that, and said, look for the one who's behind the garment. That's what, and then, so you take the robe off and reveal the one life behind the garment of God. So I think the 5th ray is pretty good for that one. I think the 5th ray Lord is talking to the 3rd ray Lord. Take off the veiling sheaths. Let God be seen. The one who stands behind the garment. Take Christ from off the cross. What does that mean? Well, you know, you have your hands like that, but when you really learn to hold them that way, you can get off and do your work. So I'm sure we're all looking forward to the 4th initiation some fine day. And a lot to go through before that. So we probably have a statement of the 5th ray Lord who must learn to see and understand God who is dressed in his garment. The definitive paragraphs, yes, we've just been through them. And the word that they use is the one who lives. Don't get so fascinated by the garment of God that you forget the one who lives. The 5th ray is going to be fantastic in revealing God once it loses its attachment to the outer examination. That doesn't mean it shouldn't study the outer form, but it can't get so wrapped up in it that it forgets the one who stands behind the form. So the power to analyze will differentiate between the inner life and the appearance of that life, Okay. The garment and the one who lives behind it all. Now, maybe this is the last one. Let the 2 paths converge. Balance the pairs of opposites, and let the path appear between the 2. God and the path and man are one, and the quality is balance. And you know how the 6th ray is oftentimes unbalanced, and how you just have to learn how to take that noble middle path when you're on the 6th ray, otherwise you just go to extremes. And there's quite a few things in the old commentary that talk about that. I won't go there right now, but there's beautiful things. So in many ways, the 6th ray Lord rules the path to the goal. This is the path of increasingly elevated desire. The final realization, God and the path and man are one, is much akin to the potent 6th ray mantram, I am the seeker and the sought. I rest. Think about that, you know, we're just looking for ourselves all the time, whatever that self may be. So thus, then what have we got there? Well, okay, it's the I don't think I need to go back. I think I'll send this to you if you want it. But I think those are pretty good estimations, and a lot of others are just in a row, so it throws you off, and you think, well, maybe if I'm not in a row, sequentially I'm incorrect. But I think I have justifications for these, and maybe you will find other justifications which you think work as well. Thus, the three major rays sum up in themselves the process of creation, of energizing, through the urge of the divine will. And the work of the four minor rays, as they are called, though with no idea of their being lesser or greater, interesting, is to elaborate or differentiate the qualities of life, and so produce the infinite multiplicity of forms which will enable the life to assume its many points of focus and express, through the process of evolutionary manifestation, its diverse characteristics. So, you know, when you're dealing with the old commentary, you have to really ponder. It's the second ray method of working. The third ray ponders too. I mean, everybody can ponder. You just sit with it, you know, and you focus and you try to merge with the subject so that you get information about it as if from the inside. So the methods of liberation for any ray type, and we are all ray types, are given in the old commentary, and that's why we had better know these things. Because if we want to work with the divine plan, we have to think whether we are working in accordance with the rays that we have. That's why it's so important. Otherwise, you're just barking up the wrong tree, you know? I mean, you know, someone who's meant to be a teacher tries to be some kind of leader. Someone who's meant to be the leader tries to be the teacher. And he tells us for lives and lives, we have worked along a particular line, and that's what makes us good at what we do. So we don't want to use the wrong technique, you know. I sometimes, you know, when forced to do things I don't want to do. Does that ever happen to you? Anyway, I keep on thinking of John Henry. He was a, what was he, a steel driving man, you know, whatever. And I think about that big hammer, you know, and how he's hammering these posts into the ground, you know, and what it takes. And the legend goes that he had a contest with a steam driver or something like that. He may have won, but he died. I don't know. I keep on thinking about what would happen if you took a Stradivarius violin instead of a sledgehammer and tried to pound them into the ground. So make sure that you, it's a, okay, yes, I mean, well, if you call yourself a Stradivarius violin, that's already a violation. But anyway, make sure you use the instrument correctly. Okay, and stay on the beam, know your rays, know where to go for the advice, and try to carry it out, okay? Okay, that's it.